So I'm back to working on my Flutter project. After a week of doing maintenance on the rest of my app portfolio, I'm back to my first Flutter app, which is coming along pretty nicely. I'm starting to get into the Android side of things. As you can see, I have the Android simulator up here, and it's going relatively smoothly. I was delighted to find out that you can test push notifications within the Android emulator. You can't do that on iOS. You have to test on a device. Until now, I've always thought of push notifications as a very difficult part of the development process because I've always done a lot of it manually, and I've always been working on iOS, which, as I mentioned, requires testing pushes on a device. So it's always been sort of a headache, but for this project, I'm using Firestore cloud messaging platform, which has been pretty much a breeze to set up, which is very delightful, I must say. It has been quite delightful to use. It's going smoothly. So I set it up so that when somebody accepts an invite to your family, all the existing family members will get a notification. And when you receive a credit or charge on your ledger, you'll get a notification. Oh, and did I mention the name of the app is now Family Ledgers? I've been referring to it in this series as my family finance app, but the actual name's going to be Family Ledgers. And I am now announcing that. Anyway, it's going good. It's not much to look at right now. I'm currently working with my artist/wife to get some nice little designs in here, like to fill up this blank white space and make the app more consumer friendly. Looking forward to that. But yeah, there's no going back now because I paid my $25 fee to be on the Google Play Store. So the Android app is now imminent. So throughout the course of this project, I've been getting a lot more comfortable with the concept of using third-party services more. Up until this point, I've been somewhat of a purist, probably to my own detriment, in that I've been hesitant to use third-party services because I like to do everything myself and keep things very simple and bare bones. But one of the only advantages you have as an independent app developer is to leverage third-party services, so it's kind of stupid not to. And with this project, I'm getting much more comfortable with doing so. However, in the back of your mind, you always want to remember that corporations will always do what's in their best interest and not necessarily what's in the best interest of the people relying upon their tools. For example, Flutter it's a Google thing. Google controls it. Although it is open source, Google holds the keys. Google can decide to kill the thing. Or what's more likely with a behemoth corporation like Google is they will just decide that it's no longer strategically within their interest to maintain it, and they'll just let it die. That could happen with something like Flutter, despite the fact that it's open source. What brings this to mind is something that's happened recently with Fastlane, which is another project I rely upon for doing continuous integration. Now, Google has started to ignore that project, and it's at risk of becoming stagnant. It's at risk of becoming stagnant because I hear that Google doesn't use it internally anymore, yet they hold the keys to the Git repo. So I reckon that means they control who contributes to it. So too much of the project is in Google's hands, and that just reminds me that the same thing could theoretically happen to Flutter. So even if something is open source, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not vulnerable to the whims of corporations who happen to control it, who happen to control access to the project. Anyway, Flutter is still a very powerful project from what I can tell. It's pretty much a joy to work with. I mean, it is slow to build, and the download size, I think, is larger than I would prefer. But that's a trade-off I'm willing to swallow because it gives you so much in terms of cross-platform compatibility. And it's a hell of a lever to have as an indie dev. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to do an update because I haven't done an update in a while. My YouTube channel's been a little bit quiet. I've been doing a lot of different stuff like making music and working on my other apps and whatnot. But I'm finally getting back to this. I'm excited to get some artwork in there to make it more consumer friendly. I think this project has some potential. I also have to do the paywall. Haven't started on that yet. I think I'll start doing that maybe next week after I get the push notifications stuff done. And I'm still dogfooding it with my own family. It's working good. I'm enjoying the process of developing it. I don't really have much else to say other than what I've already said. I just wanted to talk about a little blah, blah, blah,